Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365. Happy Phillies opening day to everybody. The MLB opened up last night. We have a Thursday edition here as we are now under 30 days until the NFL draft, 29 days and counting. J-Mac, how you doing this morning on this Thursday morning, my friend?
Yeah, recovering from that circus Netflix MLB opener. Yeah. What are we doing?
They're gonna have to get this thing right, man. I thought they would have gotten a little better at this by now.
I don't. Well, I heard a lot of complaints, but a lot of stuff they already been doing on regular broadcasts. Like I saw people lose their minds when they were talking to Jazz Chisholm in the middle of an inning.
Yeah,
they've been doing that.
Yes, they have. Drives me crazy.
I'm like, that's not new. And I think I mean, how do you not lose some focus if the ball comes your way? But I don't, obviously they're trying to increase sort of a relationship with newer viewers and those types of things, and try all these different issues to try to get some of the younger people more interested in baseball. But at what point do you just throw up your hands and say, well, we make a ton of money. Who gives a shit what these guys think? Let's just do what we've always done. That's what I do.
Yeah, well, that's not far out, probably, Johnny Mac. All right, John, good stuff here. We got a good Thursday show here planned as the NFL draft inches closer for everybody. One of the best times, most fun times, I guess, of the year for many NFL fans as you see who your football team adds in the draft. And a lot of these players will be a part of the team, or hopefully some of these players will be a part of the team for a long time. As we get a little closer here, Johnny Mac, we're going to look at some of the deeper rounds today in the NFL draft, just in terms of where the Eagles could go. They obviously have a lot of needs, and there are some positions I think they need, man. I think they need tight end, a wide receiver, an edge rusher, a safety, offensive lineman. That's, to me, like, all right, they're going to trade back maybe in round one to try and get more picks. That's what I struggle with if it comes to the Grenard trade. So we're going to take a look at all of that. But, John, when it comes to those later rounds, just set the stage for where your thinking is. Obviously, I know day 3 is a little bit of a crapshoot, kind of take the best player. But when it comes to day 2, they're going to have 3 picks on day 2, John. No, it'd still be 2 picks on day 2, right?
3 picks on day 2.
3 picks, right? 3 picks on day 2. Then they have 2 fourth-round picks as well. So kind of a good mix of picks there in that range. If you're the Birds, but how you looking at some of those mid-round picks? They feel like they're important this year.
Well, it's always important. You always try. I mean, you've seen how we kind of describe his passion meetings where everybody on day 3 of the draft, they get all the personnel people together and they get to pound the table, so to speak, for prospects that are still on the board and why they think they should be a Philadelphia Eagle. And they've shown some of those clips in the past. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, obviously. And what Howie always says, he's looking for one special trait with day 3 picks that you could sort of, use as a foundation and build on to develop players. So with the current team, I was talking about that. Probably the best example is Moro Ojomo. He's very undersized, so he went the 7th round, but tremendous quickness and, gets in the weight room, gets a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, and all of a sudden you got a pretty damn good player because he had that one special trait that you could build on. So that's kind of their emphasis. And, the second part is the quarterback philosophy of draft a quarterback when you can. If you like one, you have to like one. It doesn't just mean, we're going to take a quarterback to take a quarterback. So everything's on the table in day 3. So you don't necessarily look at needs because it becomes more about that. Okay, who's left? Who's got the upside? That's what he's not looking for singles. He's looking for home runs on day 3. So I think that kind of takes, when you start talking about need and The Eagles don't draft for need, but I think people have to be realistic about that. And I always describe it as they take the best player available at the position of needs. In other words, they're not taking certain positions because they don't need it. And they're not looking at it. You can kind of hone in on offensive line and edge rusher and safety.
What distinction there, though, John? Because you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, best player available." We know I had somebody in the comments say that to me, Zander. Why do you even care? They're going to just take the best player. I'm like, well,
no, they're not.
Within what they, like you just said, within what they need and want.
Yeah, they're not going to take Ty Simpson at 23. They might think he's the best player. They're not taking him.
Right.
That's completely untrue. But a lot of people sort of, it's a cliche, and then one of the cliches I like is need is the worst talent evaluator in sports. So, but you have to be honest with yourself. In certain positions, every team are pretty locked in, and they're going to look in other directions. So it becomes you sort of narrow it down that way. So you got multiple positions, and you take the best player in those multiple positions. But that's sort of how it works. And you saw that in the Quinyon Mitchell year when they wanted Troy Fatano, and he got picked 2 picks earlier, and they quickly pivot. Right. And they didn't go the next offensive lineman. They went, no, we like Quinyon Mitchell better than yada, yada, yada. And that's sort of how it works.
That turned out to be a little bit of luck there. That was good. I mean, that's good. I think that's good, all things considered. Now, Fontana's a good player, but Quinyon Mitchell, all-pro corner, I think has obviously been a massive addition for the team.
Well, Quinyon was picked 22. They picked 23 this year. When you pick 23 or 22 in the draft, you ain't getting your first option. You just ain't. It rarely happens like that. Really only one team can guarantee it, and that's Las Vegas for obvious reasons. Now there's times where where the number 1 pick is going, and you're number 2 and you don't want a quarterback, and you get the player you want, but very rarely when you're that far down, because you're at the mercy of the other teams, and sometimes they like the same players you like.
Right.
And they go in that direction. So you got to be ready to pivot, and contingencies tend to be the strength of Howie Roseman.
Yes, sure. No doubt.
Mitchell, good example of that.
Yep. Johnny Mac, this is I gotta say, I like this draft board. The more I learn about this draft, now it's not perfect, obviously, but I think there's some good players, pretty deep into this draft, where I think you're going to get some significant starters. We've talked about Ian Cummings. We're going to talk to Ian tomorrow. He's going to be with us on Birds 365. I think there's some great players in this draft, so I'm pretty optimistic on what the Eagles can do in this NFL draft. So we will see. John, you said something there though about the later rounds that I want to ask you about. You're kind of looking for home runs is the way you worded it, but is that the best method, John? Like, I know you're looking for traits because there's a lot less percentage of the players are probably going to pan out and be significant NFL guys, but I mean, if you look at some of the guys they've landed in that round, they're not great, but they're also, some contributors. I mean, Moro Ojomo is a 7th round pick. Now that I would consider a home run. Grant Calcaterra, though, that's a single in the 6th round pick. A solid 6th round pick, but a single in the 6th round. Kenny Gainwell in the 5th round, I think, is a single. You look at Quez Watkins back in 2020 was a 6th round draft pick. I don't know. I mean, how many home runs outside of Mailata and Kelsey, are you hitting? And
well, they would look at it. Sometimes when you swing for the fences, you get a single or a double.
Yeah, that's true.
That's factored into it. But all those guys you mentioned, you can list off their traits. That what did they have that made them? Kenny Gainwell, it was his quickness and receiving ability, which has manifested itself in the NFL. With Grant Calcaterra, it's his receiving ability as a tight end as well, and we haven't seen it, but I don't even know if but the Eagles brought him back. Why did they bring him back? Because they think there's untapped potential there. Now, I don't know if they're right, but it hones in, every single one. Johnny Wilson, his size and his physicality. Jeremiah Trotter Jr.'s football IQ, his smarts,
Right.
Keely Ringo, his length and speed hasn't worked out,
Yeah. You're looking for traits, like you always say.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're looking for great traits.
One guy the Eagles are visiting with that surprised me a little bit was Travis Burke, the big tackle from Memphis. You think, they're going to go near the top of the draft to get a tackle, most likely. But, if the board doesn't fall their way. Now, everybody's got like a day 3 grade on Travis Burke, but, he's 6'9", 325. It also makes me question what the hell the Eagles are looking at, if they're still doing the Stoutland method or if they're going for the athletic, But anyway, he's massive. And, people are starting to look at him in the NFL world as a developmental guy, but somebody who could click if you have somebody who can develop him.
Yeah, that's interesting. Not the most athletic guy. I'm looking at kind of the report on him now. 6'9", 325. Yeah, hopefully Jalen doesn't have to see over this dude too now. What a monster.
And he's got, he's got the arm length, 34 and a quarter. So obviously, that makes sense when you're 6'9", but
yeah.
So NFL teams look at that and say, well, if we can tap into this, who knows? But, that's sort of how the Eagles do it. That's how, and they'll show it again. You could look at it last year, what do they call their show? Unscripted. They showed their passion meeting. To my knowledge, it's the first time they showed it. And that's exactly what he tells, the scouts. It's like, he doesn't want backups. He specifically said that. He wants guys who can develop and turn into starters. And if you find a backup along the way, well, that's fine too. But if you're shooting for the stars, probably got a better chance of getting there.
All right, Johnny Mac, we're going to do I'm not going to call it a mock draft, but we're just going to kind of run through where you think, position-wise, and then we're going to take a look at some of the players. So let's start, obviously, with round 1. We'll go there, and then really I want to focus more on the later rounds today. But I think what they do in round 1 obviously will change where they end up going. Right now, John, I mean, all things considered, where's your gut on round 1? It's still offensive tackle, right?
Yeah. I've offensive line. I've expanded it because of Fanu and Vega, the kid from Penn State, because to me, they'll end up inside. But, I factor them into the equation when it because you have to start thinking about Landon Dickerson as well now. So I factor that in the equation. So if you're just playing the odds game, how many tackles are going to go in the first round? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tackles. And that includes Spano because most people list him as a tackle, even though I think he's going to move inside. And then you have Vega. So you have 8 guys. Now, they're not going to like all 8 of those guys, nor are they going to have any chance at some of them.
Yeah, and it feels like there is going to be a pretty significant amount of them taken. Now, one of them I think will be there, but
so and again, you have to like that particular player. If it's Blake Miller, for instance, do they like Blake Miller? Well, I don't know. In theory, he's certainly a great athlete. In theory, they're looking for more athleticism and more movement skills, and that would fit him to a T. But, then they're also looking at Travis Burke. So, who knows how he is thinking about that because of the move away from Jeff Stoutland. But if you play the numbers game, I think that's more likely. Whereas if you look at edge rusher, which is probably even a bigger need because of what's going on in free agency, there's just not as many. And the really good ones are off the board early. Bailey, Reese, Bain, and I don't even think Bain is an edge rusher. I think he's going to have to move inside. And then you start talking about the Messidors and the TJ Parkers and the Keldrick Falks. So you probably have to trade up to get. But my preference among those three would be Keldrick Falk, but you probably have to trade up to get him. I don't necessarily see Messidor and Parker as a great fit, but who knows? Maybe they like him. This is just my thought process. And then if you can't get any of those guys, I start thinking about the second round. So it's much less. And so just playing the odds, yeah, I'm going offensive line.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Blake Miller, that name has grown on me a lot. Now I'm not sure if he'll be there or if he won't. Daniel Jeremiah did have a mocked at 21, but I'm with you. I like the name. Monroe Freeling, I think, would be a home run, but obviously he seems to be going like he's the top 10 or top 15 at this point. I wonder how much the Eagles might like one of these guys to the point where would they be willing to make the trade up, I don't know if they would, John, because I feel like they need all these mid-round picks, dude. These second and third round picks this year, second, third, and fourth round picks. They need safety. They need to reinforce some of the offense. They need tight ends. I feel like they need these picks, dude.
Well, I don't think they need them, but they do need to start getting younger on offense, certainly. I mean,
average age of that offense, John's getting pretty old, man.
Well, yeah, he said it. He's made it very clear. But,
yeah.
Again, I'm not too worried about the multiplicity of day 3 picks. The premium picks, you got 4, that's good. You got to hit on them, but that's good. And then I'm not really worried about just accumulating day 3 picks. I mean, they already have 4 day 3 offensive linemen from last year. What do they need more? Miles Hinton, develop them. Cameron Williams, develop them. Drew Kendall, do it. Willie Lampkin. You're not going to develop all of them, but you got to get 1 or 2. I mean, they got tons of that already, and then different positions. They have tons of young corners. They don't seem to like any of them. So I don't know if day 3 is going to help. With Jacorian Bennett, Kaylee Ringo, and Mac McWilliams.
Yeah, they're good. I feel like they're good on cornerback. Do they need to draft a cornerback this year?
Well, they don't seem to like him, but they're not going to draft a corner up the top. Obviously, they signed Reek Woolen.
That's what I mean. And even if he's a 1-year deal, I feel like you can make a move like a Reek Woolen every single year if you really want to. Just sign a guy for 1 year. I mean, you're not going to pay everybody these long-term contracts, I feel like most people are like, we need another corner. I'm like, really? Do we? I don't know. I think that's going to be a rotating position now for a little bit.
Well, you hope one of the young guys clicks at some point. Tight end, everybody's on 1-year contracts again. At some point, you got to shit or get off the pot and get somebody who's relevant for more than 1 year. So I
like Bill going Kenyon Sadiq yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not buying that, but it is a real deep draft for tight ends, a really deep draft to the point where I think you can get players certainly on day 2 and even contributors on day 3. And I think, they could remake their whole tight end room if they wanted to still. And just, keep Goddard and get a blocking guy. If you get the kid from Stanford I've been talking about and you could double dip and get him in the 6th round, who knows? He'll probably go before that, and you got a blocking tight end, and then you take a Justin Jolie or somebody from NC State. You got a receiving tight end. You're way better than you were coming in. So tight end is certainly an emphasis. Running back could be a sneaky emphasis because
I like the idea of a running back, but I've been saying that for years.
I do think this is Saquon's most likely as last year here. So, wouldn't hurt to take. You can get a Katron Allen for the Penn State sycophants. If you can get him in on day 3, which you probably could take a shot there. Defensive tackle, they're pretty set. If they like somebody, they'll take it. Linebacker, they're pretty set. Inside linebacker. Safety, obviously, is a need. They have to get something.
Yeah, I think they're gonna look to get a safety here. I don't know if they're looking for a starter. That's the question, because if you draft a safety in round 3, is your expectation that he starts in year 1? I don't know. Where are you on Makuba, John?
Well, I think he showed some good signs, and he also showed some of the reasons people didn't want to draft him. And he's undersized, and he gets hurt a lot. And he's undersized, and he got hurt a lot.
I think he did show some good flashes that I feel pretty confident going into year 2 for him.
He's a good coverage player.
Yeah, great coverage player. Yep.
Very comfortable in space. That's what the Eagles loved about him. Doesn't panic. So a lot of positive signs, but he's a 185-pound guy who plays like he's 220. Yeah. He's got a lot of Avonte Maddox in him, who always used to get hurt too.
Which you can get away with in college, but when you get to the pros, that's not going to work all that well.
Yeah, he throws his body around, which is great until he gets hurt. But I think he's certainly proven that he is a good coverage player and should be a good coverage player.
We'll see how he develops in year 2. John, speaking of offensive linemen, a couple things there. One, what do you think of that Vega? Where do you think he's going? Because, I know we talk about you don't really want to draft interior guys in round 1. Certain guys are worth it. You've brought up big names in the past, like Zach Martin, obviously great players. Where do you think Vega goes?
I think he's going pretty high. I think he's going top 15 because I think he's the best offensive lineman in the draft. I don't think he's at quite at Quentin Nelson level, who was top 5. Trying to think of other recent guards.
He's not huge, 6'4", 320. So he's big in that way, but he's not that tall. 6'4". Would that be the shortest O-lineman on Philly if he was a starter?
No, Cam's not 6'4".
No, Cam's not 6'4". Speaking of Cam, I got to ask you about something with him.
Yeah, that's the way it's going. That's just the way all these. If you look at, I'm looking at the top guard. So Vega's number 1. He's 6'4.25". Then you got the kid from Iowa, Jennings Dunker. He's 6'5". Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon, 6'4.25".
I love freaking Jennings Dunker. I don't think he's a fit right now after Jeff Stoutland, but I'm a Jennings Dunker guy.
Chase Bizendis, I don't know, Bison Knight, whatever his name is, Texas A&M kid, 6'5.25". Keelan Rutledge, he's under 6'4", 6'3", and 5'8". He's the smallest one. Billy Sharuth, who's another Stoutland guy, but I don't know now, 6'4.75". He's just a mauler. Armaj Reed Adams, 6'5.75". All of them, 6'4" or 6'5".
Yeah. Well, that'd be interesting. Speaking of Cam Jurgens, John, did you? I'm not sure if you saw. There was a clip floating around. Shout out to the dude who sent it to me on Instagram. I don't know what your name is. I think it was Jason. No, Cody Blake. Cody, thank you, brother. He sent me this clip of Cam Jurgens was on. I guess the Bussin'. I think it's the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. That's the one with Will Compton? I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Bussin' with the Boys, and they're asking him about the tush push, and the time where they ran it 4 times in a row, and you listen to Cam tell his story. He's like, I can't walk when we get up after those plays.
Why are not people recognizing?
No, I don't think people are just recognizing it, but sometimes it's interesting to hear if, from the horse's mouth. I mean, Cam's like, everybody's cheering on the sideline the time we ran it 4 times in a row. I got the who's the tackle or the linebacker in Washington that was jumping on
Frankie Louisville.
I got him jumping on my back. We're running it 4 times in a row. Everybody's cheering on the sideline after we got a touchdown, and I'm just like, get the fuck away from me. I can't move right now. I mean, listening to Cam say that was like, man. John was
I get it because the spring meetings are next week, and everybody's bringing up that the tush push is not on the docket.
Yeah, right.
And everybody in Philadelphia's got this mentality. Like we went through this last year, and I'm like, yeah, granted, the safety issue was not the reason they wanted it banned. That was bullshit. That was just for public consumption. But I mean, and everybody's like spiking the football. See, they only cared about it because the Eagles were successful. Now that they're not successful, well, hey, yeah, they're not successful, so nobody cares about it. That's number one. And number two, you crippled 2 great offensive linemen.
Yeah, and probably never had to. And to your point, I think they probably would have been just as successful.
Now, I don't. Landon's had some issues coming in, obviously, but it's not directly related. But yeah, that beats the shit out of those guys.
Yeah, no doubt.
And Kelsey has said it as well now that he's retired.
Yeah.
It's not a deal because he used to defend it for obvious reasons. But he has now said it. Yeah, it ain't fun for those guys. But man, I mean, people just want it. I don't know. I don't get it. It wasn't even successful last year. It was.
What was the percentage last year? 78 or something?
70 something, yeah. I mean, spread the field and let Jalen pick the hole, and you're going to be 90+%.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's like foolish, but it is what it is. I just wanted to bring that up because we're talking about drafting offensive linemen here. All right, John, later rounds here, we just talked about a little bit of round 2 and round 3. They get to round 4. I think they have 2 picks in round 4, if I'm not mistaken. So they do.
Yeah, they moved up for the big
Sidney
Brown trade. They got 8 slots for the Sid. They're 114
and 137.
137.
And that one's the comp pick from Josh Sweat, I believe. But 137.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 2 picks there. That's going to be interesting. John, where do they take a wide receiver this year? If they take one.
Well, it all harkens to AJ. I mean, if they're planning on trading AJ, I mean, they're taking one. And
I'm surprised that McMullen meter hasn't come down a little bit. Has it come down?
It has come down a little bit.
So where are you at? 70, 60,
60, 65.
65?
That's come down a little. But it has nothing to do with the signing. His best friend. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with Howie's stubbornness.
Yeah, in the league. I mean, there's not a lot of suitors. Did you hear what Albert Breer had to say about it yesterday or 2 days ago on Rich Eisen?
No. Well, there's one suitor. That's it.
That's basically what Albert Breer said. He said this started as, nobody's really been able to confirm that AJ's requested a trade. People just have the smoke. Everybody has the smoke. His agent did say to the Eagles 4 teams. It was the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and who's the 4th team I'm missing? The Bills.
Bills.
Yeah. I mean, the Bills were out of it pretty quick. The Chargers were out of it pretty quick. The Chiefs, I don't think ever really showed a lot of interest in it, which left the Patriots. And then the Rams were in it for a cup of tea, and they left as well. So now it's just the Patriots.
I don't even think the Rams were in it because
I don't either.
Yeah. I don't think Howie's trading. Yeah, what's going on with Puka, man? He's a lunatic.
Why? What'd he do?
He bite some stripper. There's some.
What?
He's always.
Biting women. I see it.
He's always in attractive women's DMs, and it's like, dude, settle down, man. You're a star. Let them come to you.
Yeah, right.
But I'm starting to think, is that why they were interested in AJ? Because this guy's going off the rails.
Hey, maybe.
But there's no way Howie. I've said that from the start. There's no freaking way Howie Roseman was trading AJ Brown to the Los Angeles Rams at this stage.
That 13th pick sounds enticing.
I don't care. He's not going to the. I'll tell you right now, he's envisioning an NFC Championship game where AJ scoring 3 touchdowns against the Eagles. He ain't doing it.
The Eagles if the Eagles get to the NFC Championship game this year, then certainly. But if Howie's thinks that the offense is closer to its expiration date and he needs to retool, then shit, Monroe Freeling sounds pretty good at 13 overall or whoever you want to take.
Well, I don't think he believes he believes this is a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Like, I agree though that you don't want to trade to the NFC, but what I don't agree with is making decisions for your team based on what other teams are going to do. Bullshit. I don't care what the Rams are going to do. If they're going to give me the 13th overall pick, I got to do what's best for the Eagles and then let it handle itself. If I'm not a good enough team to beat the Rams anyway.
Well, you got to be honest. And look, you beat the Rams last year on the Jordan Davis miracle, but I think everybody recognized the Rams were the better team that day. And I think certainly Howie Roseman recognized it. And as long as Matthew Stafford's there, they ain't doing that. And I think it's the right way to think about it. You don't help a team that might be the favorite to go to the Super Bowl be even more of a favorite. No, you trade him to the AFC. Look, I criticized Dallas. I'm very consistent. I thought that was a brutal trade. Not only because of the player, but because of who they traded him to. And I said it the day of the trade.
Yeah, but to the point, like, you can say that, but the Cowboys weren't in contention to compete. So why did they give a shit if the Packers are great? They need to get better for their future. And to be honest, John, I think they kind of did that. Now, they got rid of an amazing player, but they loaded up on picks. They put themselves in a better position. And now they have assets at their disposal to try and use and get the defense better. I mean, that's kind of a good example of, I'm not going to worry about the Packers. I got to get the picks back for the Cowboys. Now, I think the Cowboys could have traded them somewhere else and gotten even better picks. That's a different conversation. But I don't know. I don't think
it's just common sense. Now, if you're a good team, you don't trade anybody in your conference. Just get them the fuck out of your conference. And if it happens in the Super Bowl, you got to deal with it. Yeah. But just get them out of your conference. And I was told that early in the process. They're only looking at AFC teams. So, look, again, it's easy to say how he talked to this guy and talked to that guy because he picks up the phone, as he says, all the time. Well, yeah, he's going to listen. But I'm telling you, that's why I say the Rams were never in contention for A.J. Brown. I don't believe it. There's no fucking way he was trading him to the Los Angeles Rams. The AFC teams, yeah, all of them.
Well, we'll see. That Puka Nacua story, I didn't even see that story. I do wonder if that was relevant. And he's got a law. He's getting sued. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Puka's gonna.
But I mean, how often are you going to see a law? He bit her on the shoulder on New Year's Eve. What the fuck? What are you fighting someone for?
I think he was drunk.
Yeah, well, obviously, you would think. New Year's Eve. But I don't know. Come on, Puka. Get it together, dude. You're about to make $200 million. Didn't you see what Jackson Smith and JAKIB just signed for? Come on, brother. You got to wake up and smell the roses here, my friend.
All right, John. That's probably a $20 million bite. Cut off $20 million.
Might be more than that, my friend. $20 million. All right, looking at wide receiver, John, there's a name that I love, and you brought him up a little bit ago, and I think he would just be great. Even if AJ's still here, I think the Eagles drafting a wide receiver makes some sense here, and that's Casey Concepcioni. I think he's going to be great. I mean, and he feels like he would fit what they need in an offense here. He can do some of that stuff that you said. You don't want Devonte Smith doing the jet sweeps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, go and get Casey Concepcioni, be the third wide receiver. That'd be a pretty good group then.
Yeah, I think he's kind of in no man's land. You're not going to take him at 23, obviously, and no. I don't think he's going to last to 54. So you'd have to move up, I think, to get him. But yeah, I mean,
54?
No, I don't think he does. I think he's a borderline first round pick. I think he's a bridge pick.
Okay.
So I think you'd have to go up pretty high to get him. He's probably not first on their list. I've just always wanted to see that type of player here, but they don't utilize that type of player. So maybe that changes. Maybe it doesn't. So I don't think the Eagles are going to have tremendous interest in him, but we'll see. Cooper seems to be the name that is getting a lot of hype. And the Eagles obviously like him. The league likes him a heck of a lot more than you see. That's a guy who's got, he was, most people didn't have him as a first round pick early in the process. Now everybody's got him because they've caught on to that lag. And he's a legitimate potential number 23 overall pick. If Howie, because remember, Howie knows what he's going to do. And if he's going to move AJ, it wouldn't shock me if they took Omar Cooper at 23. But I don't think that's the way they're going to go.
What do you think of Omar Cooper?
Yeah, I think he's a good player. I think he's a very low risk player, which I think is important. I think he's got a high floor. He's not going to be AJ Brown, so I don't like the situation because if you trade AJ and then you draft a guy, everybody's he's the AJ replacement.
Yeah, the Titans did that. Does anybody remember that? The Titans traded AJ to the Eagles, and then they drafted Treylon Burks. Come on, that's
it's a lot of pressure on a. But he's a really good player. He can line up inside, outside. He can play Z. He can play slot. So you can mix and match him with Devonte if that's what you're working with. He's more of a. Not a manufactured touch guy, but he's more of a, the college offense screens, horizontal stuff. Plus, he can stretch the defense vertically. He's a good player. You could do worse than Omar Cooper Jr., but
I like Omar Cooper. What do you think of Carnell Tate, John?
Well, he's an Ohio State receiver, so that's
probably going to dominate. It's got to have fun with those guys.
But he's way out of range.
Yeah, I'm not saying for the Eagles. I was just asking you in general what you thought of him.
Yeah, well, he's easily a top 15 pick. Potentially top 10 if somebody wants a receiver. Be big, 6'2"-ish. Can run. What's not to like? Yeah. Ohio State's become receiver U over LSU, I guess.
And what about the other three? Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Denzel Boston. I tend to.
I got problems. I like the second rounders more than I like the first.
I know, me too. I who grew on me a little bit. I was watching some of his tape last night. Is Denzel Boston. I thought he looked pretty good on tape. Now, I'm not a tape expert, so I don't profess to know it all, but he looked pretty good. I tend to like the receivers that have a little bit more size to them. 6'4".
Yeah, I don't like 6'4", 6'5" receivers.
Not too big.
The kid in Carolina, Ted McMullen, he did a good job. Drake London, good player. Mike Evans, obviously Hall of Fame player. There are success stories, but I don't know. There's something about big lanky receivers. They tend to be. I don't like contested catch guys because that to me is
right.
Now I like guys who can make contested, but if that's your strength,
right,
I don't like it. You need to generate separation to get open. If it's 3rd and 10 in a big situation in the fourth quarter, I just don't want to throw a fade and hope.
Yeah,
I want somebody to create some.
Even though it feels like the Eagles have done that quite a bit with AJ.
Yeah. I want somebody who can create separation.
Have you noticed that AJ Brown's separation has been decreasing?
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's fair to say. So, throw that in the mix. Yeah, I don't think he played as well last year. I don't think that's I've said that about the whole offense. One guy maintained, Devonte Smith. That's it. Everybody else went down. So some of these second round guys, and even the lesser heralded first round guys like Mekhi Lemon, he's going to be a first round pick. But even if you go down to the Zachariah Branches, I don't think.
I kind of like Branch. He's small, but I do like him.
Yeah, he's a slot guy, but
he's tiny, right? He's like 5'8", 5'9" or something.
Yeah. You mentioned Concepcion. Chris Bell's
I like Chris Bell.
More of the size guy. Like he would have been a first round pick if he didn't tear his ACL. Skylar Bell from UConn. And Jeremy Bernard, your guy from Alabama. There's a shitload of receivers.
Yeah.
Like Malachi Fields from Notre Dame. He to me is a strict contested catch guy.
Yeah, well, he's massive, right? He's like 6'5". He's huge.
Like I want no part of that. None. I'm good luck, Malachi.
That makes sense. Why you don't like that? I mean, I guess if you can find the rare guy who's 6'3" or 6'4" and can get separation with speed and athleticism, then that's probably your home run. But those guys are probably harder to find.
Yeah, and the other kid from Indiana, he's Elijah Surratt. Not as big as Fields, but he's more of a big receiver, contested catch guy. Their kid from North Carolina, North Dakota State. Everybody's raving about him. He's
Bryce Lance, right?
Yeah, he's Trey's brother.
Oh, is he? Is he Trey? Yeah. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Trey Lance's brother. Well, that's because Johnny's kind of what I just said. He's 6'3" and he can run like a freaking gazelle.
Yeah. It's like Christian Watson.
Yeah.
If you got a big guy, well, Christian Watson's always hurt, but he can run when he isn't hurt.
I wonder where Bryce Lance gets drafted. I mean, is he a third or fourth rounder?
I definitely think he's day 2.
Oh, day 2. Okay, so third. Boy, there's a lot of receivers, man. How old is
there's a crap load.
I mean,
I saw John Clark had Jeremiah on. I saw he said the same thing. All they do is every year there's 15 to 20 receivers. We were talking about yesterday because all they do is play flag football in the off season.
Yeah.
So all the kids are developing as receivers, quarterbacks, even though whomever said they don't, in cornerbacks. That's it. That's all they develop. Offensive linemen can't do anything. They can't even practice. Everybody's ruled out physicality in practice. You're just blowing in the wind, saying this guy's big and strong and athletic. Let's see if I can teach him technique. So when you think about think about the life of offensive linemen. They get no full-time, basically, practice until a preseason game. And Nick Sirianni will tell you the biggest mismatch on an NFL field are edge rushers against tackles from an athleticism standpoint. The top tier edge rushers are probably the best athletes on the field.
Yeah.
Freaking gazelles.
Beast, you
know. And you don't get those full, like when Myles Garrett shows up, you don't get the full speed even. Because you're not allowed to hit and you can't do this and that. Now, you're allowed to have a certain number of padded practices, but nobody goes full bore anymore. Nobody tackles to the ground. Different game. That's why it's based more on athleticism.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be interesting to see. John, a couple other positions we'll take a look at here in the draft. We did do some good conversation already on tight end, but I do think that's a very relevant one. So we can dip back into that. We can talk tight end. How about running backs? Let's go to running backs. We talked a little bit about those guys. The 2 Notre Dame guys might be the 2 best guys in the draft.
Oh, they are.
I know Love is obviously the best one, but Price might be the next best guy.
I think he might go in the first round, like late to Seattle.
You think? Yeah, that's interesting, right? They let Kenneth Walker walk.
Yeah, I think Love's going to go top 5. I'm pretty confident in that. Which probably not the best case for him. The best case for him would be going to Kansas City, but that's why Kansas City signed Walker, because they knew they weren't getting him.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not in love with the run. I don't think the running back class is very deep. Like I think wide receivers deep, tight end is very deep.
You think the Giants could take Love?
Yeah, they might. I think Tennessee or the Giants. Giants didn't learn from their mistakes. Ultimately, I think he's going to Tennessee, and the Giants will take Sonny Styles. This is my early projection.
Sonny Styles is a beastie player for sure.
But that's where I think it's going. Worst case scenario, Washington at 7. Where's Washington?
7, yep.
For Love, I think that would be his absolute floor. And Eagles fans shouldn't want him in Washington.
No.
But yeah, it's pretty weak overall running back, I would say. You got the 2 kids from Penn State, Singleton and Allen, Jonah Coleman from Washington. A lot of people have him as running back 2. If you don't like Jadarian Price, some people don't like Notre Dame because of the helmets. Mike Washington intrigues me from Arkansas. And then you're probably already down to day 3.
I do like the Nick Singleton guy from Penn State, but I don't know if that would be somebody that the Eagles would want.
Well, I think they're probably going to draft one on day 3. So, if they like.
What style of back, John, is best? Do you think pairs best with Saquon Barkley?
I'm not worried about pairing them. I'm worried about replacing them.
For this year, just what's the answer to the question this year? What's the best back to pair with Saquon?
Will Shipley.
Oh, come on.
Well, that's what they have. You need somebody who can play on third.
That's what they have. That doesn't make it the best.
Well, you need somebody. You're worried about thunder and lightning, Sonic, and that. I'm not worried. I'm worried about a third down back. That's the best compliment for him. Somebody who can pass, protect, and catch the football. Kenny Gainwell. Can you get Kenny Gainwell out of Tampa?
And then let Kenny Gainwell go. Where was he drafted? 4th round, Kenny Gainwell? 5th round?
Yeah. I'm not trying to replicate. They have Tank. Not my Tank. Their Tank. Can't say that loud.
Not to be confused with that. Yeah, Tank. Oh yeah, Tank McMullen. I know I'm in your ear, so he can't hear me. Is Tank been a good boy, John?
Oh yeah. He's solid. He's good people.
Good stuff. Good. All right, good stuff. All right, John. Last couple more positions we'll look at here. I want to look at safety. All right, let's roll to safety here a little bit and talk about some safeties in the draft. Obviously, Caleb Downs is a phenomenal player. He's going to go probably top 10, I would think. And then it's still pretty good. I mean, there's a pretty good safety class, dude. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is the Toledo guy. Obviously, buddies with Quinyon Mitchell. Dylan Thieneman, or I don't know. How do we pronounce that? Do we know? Did we get a pronunciation on that?
No, I'm sure Ian said it, but
Thieneman or Thieneman. He's the Oregon player. I freaking love that player. I think he is going to be a home run for somebody. AJ Halsey, the LSU safety. You got Kamari Ramsey from USC. Zakee Wheatley from Penn State, if you're a Penn State guy out there. Jalen Kilgore's a guy you've mentioned here, John. Genesis Smith from Arizona. Bud Clark from TCU. Some names there at safety, but it does feel like there is a cliff that when you can fall off here at safety position. Where do you feel like the Eagles might try and address safety? And which of these names you like, gentlemen?
Well, I love Caleb Downs. He's one of my 2 blue chip players. Yeah, he's way out of the Eagles' range. And they've never drafted a safety in the first round. For those who don't know, I don't think Thieneman gets past Minnesota. I think they're 17, 18-ish, somewhere in that range, to replace Harrison Smith.
In theory, if he was there, do you think the Eagles would be willing to use a first-round pick on a safety?
I do not.
That's
and so that I think McNeil Warren will go in the first round as well. So I don't think they won't start thinking safety until day 2. They brought in Jalen Kilgore for a 30 visit. So they're looking at safeties. And if you think about, all right, who's a day 2 safety, you're probably thinking about Kilgore. You mentioned some of them. Genesis Smith. Did you mention Ramsey from SC?
Yeah, Ramsey, I mentioned him.
Maybe Zakee Wheatley. I'm sure he'll be in, whether it's the local day or they bring him in for an official 30 visit. Because they can do that with Penn State guys. So those are the names you're probably looking at. The second.
What trait do they need in a safety here, John?
Coverage. And then
so they want coverage with Makuba, because Makuba's strength is obviously coverage. That's what they want in their safeties. They're not looking for as physical type of guy like that.
No. They don't want a box safety. They don't want it down. That's Vic's whole philosophy is based on +1 basically on defense, and you want the +1 in coverage. You want coverage. Now, the goal is to get somebody who can do it all, and you want somebody who can come down and recognize run support quickly. And they took advantage of Reed's IQ because he's not the best coverage player. It's not saying you're going to get it, but that's what he wants with safeties is coverage first. Guys who are comfortable in space. Because not a lot of safeties in this league can cover receivers one-on-one, and they tend to panic in space.
Well, who do you like then there after that big 3? Because it does feel like, there's some depth at safety in this class, but it does feel like there is a breaking point here where if you don't get one of them, you're probably not going to get a guy who can contribute this year. I kind of like AJ Halsey a little bit from LSU. I don't know where he's going to go, but he's a great ball skill player. He's 6 foot, 215, decent in coverage. I would say pretty good in coverage, fast. I like him, but I don't know who you like at that spot.
Well, Kilgore number 1, because they've shown significant interest in him.
Yeah, but I don't think he's the best coverage player.
Well, he's big, and I think
he's fast. He can run, but I don't know if he's the best. He's not that great in coverage.
Well, he's also got slot ability, so that sends
Yeah,
the Eagles love slot safety people. They call it a mirrored position, so that he defends the run as a slot defender. So
I think Halsey. I'm looking at the Halsey. Halsey can play, can do the nickel stuff too.
Well, yeah, then they'll probably be interested, but I haven't heard any interest in him yet. And I'm just looking at SIS. They say fluid coverage defender, so I haven't watched a ton of Jalen Kilgore, but in theory, if you can play in the slot, you can cover a little bit, at least from a safety perspective. So to me, he's their wheelhouse, what they're looking for. Now, when you start talking about 54 or 3rd round, it's likely somebody else is going to like him and he's not going to be there. So just because you want somebody doesn't mean he's going to be there. But 54, 68, he might be, if they stay at both of those picks, and they probably won't if they're trading for Jonathan Grenard. But if they do, he could be one of those 2 picks.
Good stuff there. All right, Johnny, now a couple more things on the draft, and then we got some discussions here for hour number 2 that we will get into. I'm going to talk about none other than Devonte Smith. We'll talk a little Devonte Smith today. We'll talk a little Nolan Smith. So it's a Smith hour number 2, and we'll take some super chats from the great people of JAKIB Nation. Here's Bird Gang checking in, $10. Thank you, Bird Gang, for the super chat. Will John acknowledge some of us fans were right and he was wrong last year about the league hating the Eagles after their decision to basically ignore the tush push this offseason?
No, I think you're all ridiculous. No, I think you're all ridiculous. And I think the funny part is all you guys spiking the football at the same time your center and your left guard are in Medellin, Colombia, getting stem cell treatment. And as Zander pointed out, Cam Jurgens was on what show?
Busting with the boys, but the Will Compton.
So Bird Gang, go take a look at the Cam Jurgens interview, and then come back.
That was tough to listen to. Cam was literally like, I can't walk after those plays.
Yeah. So, quick summation to your question: no, I will not admit.
Bird Gang, thank you for the $10, my guy. Johnny Mac just put you in the woodshed, though. You hate to see it. All right, good stuff there. John, one more thing here on the draft. Top 30s, do we have like a tracker on these guys? It's hard to kind of keep track. I know you mentioned
there's only 5 or 6 of them so far. So those got to pick up quickly. The draft is earlier this year. So, I mean, there's probably some we haven't known of. Generally, you figure out these things when you're at pro days. So, and it becomes, the guys, you do interviews and they tell you what 30 visits they have set up. So, but I've only seen about 5 or 6. Kilgore's one of them. Vega is one of them. And I'm trying to think. Let me look it up. But anyway, those are some of the players. And the Eagles' history is the guys they bring in. They draft a lot of them. So they're not a team that goes, oh, the kid from Texas Tech. That's one that surprised me. Romello Height, the other Texas Tech edge rusher, to the point where I said, what maybe they're bringing him in for the big splash to go get Bailey. Maybe they're trying to figure out, do some due diligence on Bailey. So, all right, here's the list I have. Omar Cooper Jr., which we talked about. Vega, Iona, Jalen Kilgore, Danny Dennis Sutton from Penn State, edge rusher. Could be a day 2 pick. Romello Height, that's the Texas Tech kid. Could be a day 2 pick. Chris Bell. Obviously the big Louisville receiver. Now that would be very Eaglesy because he had a late season ACL tear. So probably would have been a first round pick. So good value if you feel he's going to be healthy. And Travis Burke, who we mentioned, which is, pretty much a day 3 pick. That's why they're not top 30 visits. They're 30 visits, but because not everybody is a top tier player, but those are the ones so far.
Good stuff there. One more super chat. Keith, what's up, Keith? He says, love the draft coverage, fellas. Keep it going. Gotcha, Keith. Thank you, brother. We'll be doing a ton of draft coverage all the way up to the draft. We got 29 days, guys, until the NFL draft. I think it's like 20. Let me get the countdown for you guys. I think it's like 28 days and 11 hours, I think. 28 days, 10 hours, 58 minutes, and 38 seconds. How about that, folks? I was 2 minutes off. All right, Keith, thank you, brother. Appreciate that. John, one other thing. Did you happen to see this this kicker out there who's catching some
yeah.
Jaffer Murphy, his name is. He's booting 70 freaking yarders. Yeah. Bring him in, Howie. I'm done with Jake Elliott. I am done with the Jake Elliott experiment. And I don't give a rat's ass about the $5 million guaranteed to him. We can't be a bottom of the league kicker again. We can't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't get too excited about a 70-yard kick off a tee, probably. Man, nobody in front of him to block it.
Yeah, well,
I remember
I'll take the chance over Jake Elliott.
when
Kicking.
There's a women's soccer player from South Jersey. I can't remember her name, but long time Olympian. Somebody might be able to remember. She was at Eagles camp a couple of years ago when the Ravens were here. Justin Tucker was still here. And she was out there kicking 50-yard field goals. And everybody's like, wow. Like there's no Jordan Davis in front of you. You know, I mean, you got to get that thing up.
No, I got you.
So anyway, but yeah. So I mean, but Jake Elliott, we've talked about it, has not been good the past 2 years. But I mean, they reworked his deal. They guaranteed that he's going to be here.
I think. That's where the Eagles get stubborn, and that's where I think they're stupid. Why? Why are you guaranteeing Jake Elliott's full contract? Cut him. Eat the cap hit. You can't afford a kicker who's at the bottom of the league again. These guys can account for 10 points a game sometimes. I mean, that's significant stuff.
It's a fair point. You know, when he's here because of his contract. Let's make no mistake. And they signed him.
I think it's stupid.
They signed him. It's again, when you talk about all the fans give Howie his flowers, but when a player declines and he gave him these big extensions for his positions, it's interesting because he's only highly paid for his position. Like you're willing to go dead money at other positions, but you're not willing to go dead money at kicker, which is a drop in the bucket.
Which are becoming increasingly more important in the game, whether people like them or not. I mean, you have kickers literally changing outcomes of games by their effectiveness in kicking. I mean, the Cowboys have that dude. It's like a cheat code. They get to the 50-yard line and they're getting points on the board. I mean, 2 years. And by the way, I wouldn't be on Jake Elliott's ass if this was 1 year. 2 years. You know, Jason 18 says, I doubt Jake will be bottom of the league again. Well, Jason, it's been 2 years now. He's been very bottom of the league, about bottom 5. 2 years in a row. I mean, really? Well,
yeah, wow. The issue is over 50. Yeah, which you can't even, you know. Now the Eagles, a part of it is the Eagles are so aggressive. They don't, you know, they go for it a lot.
Yeah, but how's he been on extra points too? He's not even been great on extra points.
No, he actually has been great on kicks under 40, but not extra points, which doesn't make sense. But yeah, he's missed too many extra points. He hasn't been good. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying it's interesting to me. You know, these teams are not willing to, well, we can't take the dead money hit on a kicker. Why the fuck not?
John, he was 39th in the NFL in field goal percentage last year. Guys, that's the backup kickers, okay? Yeah. 39th.
Well, he's 5 of 15 from 50 yards or more over the last 2 seasons.
He stinks from 50 plus.
5 of 15, 33.
He's like a top paid kicker, and he stinks.
The kid from Minnesota was like 9 of 10 from 50 plus. And he was even better than Aubrey. It is the Alabama kid. So when you see the top level kickers, he hasn't been good over the past 2 years. But they've made their decision. He's going to be here.
Yeah, I think it's a dumb one.
Well, that's fair. I advocated they bring in competition at the bare minimum.
Jaffer, baby. Give me Jaffer Murphy.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's the undrafted free agent. John, what's it cost you? $250,000 to bring him in?
My guess is, because I haven't heard a ton about him, my guess is he's not very accurate. That's my guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You're 70 when people get excited. You got to make sure you can put it through the uprights. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of you bring in a soccer player to bang it through from 70 yards. Is he going to be accurate? Again, when Jordan Davis, can you get it up? I mean, those 50-yarders and 60-yarders when you're talking about Aubrey and Reichard, 60-yarders. Those are the ones susceptible to getting blocked because in theory you got to kick it lower, but they don't. They're just
You know, I mean,
booming.
he wasn't that great of a 40-plus line. I mean, he was 7 for 10, 40 to 49.
Yeah.
70% kicker.
He does not deserve to be without competition, but they signed him to a big extension, and that's what happens when you get it wrong. Everything's about evaluation. How many times I say that? They paid him for what he did before. He's been a great playoff kicker. He's kicked in a lot of playoff games. He's both, he's the only Eagles kicker who's won Super Bowls. And even in New Orleans, he had a crappy year, but indoors he was very good in the Super Bowl. But I'm with you. They should have brought in competition at the bare minimum, but they didn't because of his contract.
I think it's dumb, but I digress. I don't need to harp on it anymore, but it has pissed me off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I just don't understand. This team does everything they can to win on the margins, and you have a kicker who effectively stinks. I mean, 2 years in a row, his percentage went even down even more. He had 100. I mean, look at Brett, look at Aubrey, and I know he's an extreme example, but 17 games. You know how many points Brandon Aubrey had for the Cowboys last year? 155 points.
Yeah,
That's like 10 points a game.
Well, he's the best kicker in football. But that's not necessarily a good thing. That means
because they don't convert a lot. But
yeah.
How about would that be a good thing for the 3-and-out Kings?
Well, the Eagles wouldn't kick that many field goals because they're still going for it, which I applaud. I would still go for it, but I get the only thing I want from a kicker in the modern game is 50 plus. Like anything inside, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I want to go for it.
Jake stinks at it.
He has over the
recently, in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Jake, I love you. I appreciate what you've done for the team, but
he was unbelievable from 21 to 23. He was like 15 of 17, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Rasputin just reminded me too. Who's the dude that we let go? Cameron Dicker. He's been a freaking beast too, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, come on. You can't. That's revisionist history. I mean,
I'm not saying they should have kept him. I'm just saying in general. I mean,
at the time they had Cameron Dicker when Jake got hurt. Jake was an all-pro. I mean, he was one of the best kickers in football. So they didn't have him when he was not performing. They had him when he was performing.
Dicker the kicker, man, 148 points last year. He was 92.7%. How about that, dude? 3 years in a row, 93.9%. And I'm just giving him credit. I'm not saying the Eagles should have kept him. 92.9 and 92.7. 3 years in a row, this guy. And then 22, it was less kicks, but 95.5, and then 22 with us, he had only one game played, 2 for 2, 100%.
Yeah. And look at Jake's look at Jake in 2022. That's complete revisionist history.
22, Jake was 87%, 20 for 23. Pretty good.
Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. I'm not saying they should have kept them. I'm just saying it shows you what other kickers are able to do and how much of an advantage it's become for their team. And we're just kind of like, oh, well, we paid Jake, so we got to keep him.
That I think is a fair criticism. I don't think it's, and I'm not going to look at points because again, that's an indictment. If you got a kicker scoring a bunch of points, that means your offense stinks. They don't convert. They're not aggressive enough.
Well, no, my only point in saying points isn't that because I agree with you. It's not the perfect metric, but my only point in saying it was the Eagles are willing to spend $4 million on a third string quarterback or four. They want to invest in all these. Win against
that I agree with.
It makes sense. Like, dude, the kicking is one of those. Why would you not bite the 5 and go, use a couple more million and get it right? I don't know. To me, it doesn't even add up. It doesn't make sense to me.
And the bigger issue, even with that, and that's true, but the bigger issue is that this is the issue with the short extensions that everybody loves, the quick extensions. Oh, you got to get that guy locked up. You got to get that guy locked. Well, what if that guy shits the bed? That's what's happened with Jake Elliott. When they signed the contract, he was one of the best kickers in football. And I believe they set the market. It was the top kicker contract in football.
I'm not mad at him for paying him. I'm mad at him for using it as the reason to keep him around for another year.
What I'm saying is I'm trying to open up the conversation of people should realize that it doesn't always work. So when you start talking about you got to get this guy done, you got to get this guy done. Sometimes it's not waited. Sometimes you don't, and you don't get it right, and then you're screwed. From the standpoint now, why the Eagles feel it's so important to not spend extra money at kicker, I think that's a legitimate conversation. Whereas, hey, they're willing to eat dead money at quarterback. They're willing to eat dead money at receiver, evidently. Why can't you eat dead money at kicker? I think that part of it's fair. But I think the larger part of it is if you miss the evaluation on these players, it comes back to bite you in the ass. And they missed the evaluation. They were paying him like an all-pro, and he wasn't all-pro at the time. But you're not paying for what he did. You're paying for what he's going to do. And he hasn't kept up that level of performance. And he's under contract through 2028.
Oh, good. So
and then you got 4 more years on top of it.
You're right. This is where Howie's philosophy can bite him in the ass if one of these guys doesn't work out. They don't want to move on from him because of all that crap they got. All right, it is what it is. We spent a little longer than I thought we would on Jake Elliott, but I don't know. That's one this summer that's driving me up a wall. It is what it is. All right, John. Let's keep rolling. I want to thank everybody for being here. We're going to go to another segment here. We're going to talk a little bit about Devonte Smith. This morning. And obviously he's a player who's drafted 10th overall by the Philadelphia Eagles. I think by all things, by everybody watching, I think he's been a pretty good player. I think everybody's been pretty happy with the draft pick, but hasn't quite had the opportunity to elevate his game to the next level, to become one of the elite wideouts in football. I think he has the talent to do it. John, when you look at Devonte Smith, when you look at where he is in his career, how do you see Devonte coming into this year? And I'm not even talking about yet whether he's wide receiver 1 or any of those things, but just talking about the player. You've been complimentary of him this season, just in that he was the one guy who kind of maintained last year, and a lot of guys did not play well. Devonte coming into, year 5 for Devonte, I think? Year 5 for Devonte Smith. How do you see him coming in this year?
It'll be year 6. You're getting up there, Devonte. No, I'm joking. But
they're all getting up there.
Yeah.
Even Jalen Hurts is 28 years old, I think, this year.
Yeah, he's been, I often think, because I remember Devontae's first season was Nick's first season. And I remember a couple things. I remember they had struggled in the Doug Peterson era just to find competent receivers after Alshon Jeffrey. The Travis Fulgham days and Jalen Reagor days and all that kind of stuff. Greg Ward, I remember Greg Ward was a pseudo star. By the way, Greg Ward is still playing in the UFL.
That's amazing. Jody Mack loved Greg Ward.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, he did. He loved him.
But he wasn't the only one. I'm not picking on Jody. He wasn't the only one. And Greg Ward, by the way, is only 30 years old. Can you believe that? Seems like he's been around forever.
It does.
But at one time, he was their best option for catching the football. And I just remember seeing Devonte Smith for the first time. And Nick's first year, they had they were doing some weird things, and they had sort of what is that kid's game with the rope? I can't think of it. They had this football on the end of a rope, and they would just snap it back and forth. And I was like, this guy's just different. I mean, he was so far and above everything they had in the previous years. And then 2022 came and they traded for AJ and they had both of them. And I was like, wow. I remember saying 2022 to Jody. I remember saying, this is the best tandem of Eagles receivers of all time.
You said it before they played a game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From a talent perspective, obviously, longevity and they got to be together. But it has held true. It is the best tandem of wide receivers the Eagles have ever had. And Devontae's a great player. The one concern we all had was his frame. Can he hold up? And he's been he's amazingly physical for his size. He's only missed a few games here and there in his career. He's very wiry. He's almost like built out of wire. He's just a great football player. And I don't have any doubt that he could be a wide receiver one in this league. Any doubt.
We do feel like, because, I feel like, John, there's like that fine line, right? Of like, and Devonte, I don't know if he's just been put in it because of the situation he's in, but it's like true wide receiver one or just an elite wide receiver two or the best wide receiver two. You know what I mean? It's like him and T. Higgins are kind of on that line, like I think Devontae's better, but I do think
I kind of look at it like, well, it depends on everything, depends on definitions, but there's 32 teams, so there's 32 wide receiver ones. Is he one of the best 32 receivers? Yeah, undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly. Now, if you're talking about elite, is he Chase? Is he Jefferson? Is he AJ in his prime? AJ at his height? He's still in his prime, so I shouldn't say that.
I don't know if he's in his prime, John. Me and you disagree on that one. I think AJ's prime might be done and dusted.
Well, maybe, but is he AJ? So I'll use the term height. No, not quite at that level.
How about this? Can he be the wide receiver one on a Super Bowl winning football team?
Yeah. I don't even think you need. Last time I looked, Chase hasn't won one. Jefferson hasn't won one.
Yeah, but I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that.
Super Bowl teams tend to be more well-rounded.
Right.
Number one. So yeah,
you have seen some great, even last year, Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's an 1,800-yard guy.
Yeah. And Puka, if he's not biting people, he had a hell of a season.
But the diddler, Puka. I don't know what's going on with that. Come on, Puka.
Those were the best receivers last season. And they both were on very good teams. But yeah, I don't have any doubt that, and I know the Eagles don't have any doubt that he could do it. My lone question is, can he hold up? Because he is 170 pounds. And if you're a true wide receiver one, well, I don't know. You look at AJ Brown's targets. That's how many targets you're going to get. And, are you going to hold up? That's a little bit of a question. But from a talent perspective, no question, he's a wide receiver one in this league.
And how much do you think it changes, John, when, look, the reality is AJ and Devonte both help each other, right? Devonte's job gets easier when AJ Brown's on the field, and also vice versa. AJ Brown's job is a little easier when you have a great receiver in Devonte Smith on the other side. If we lived in a world for a second where AJ Brown is gone and the double teams might add up on Devonte, they might be pulling help to take away Devonte Smith. How do you see him handling those situations? Because it is different when you're a two and you got AJ taking every number one cornerback, away from you. Now you're going to be the number one. That's a different type of game to play. How do you see Devonte holding up in that environment?
Well, that'll depend on some of the complementary aspects. Who do you have? Do you have, is it just Hollywood Brown and Elijah Brown? Then probably not as well.
Yeah, to be fair to Devonte,
But if you draft Chris Bell or somebody, and you get more juice involved, he'd be fine. You saw him as a rookie set the franchise record for receiving yards as a rookie. AJ wasn't here. They were a playoff team. They weren't supposed to make the playoffs. Not that Alabama translates, but you saw him in Alabama as a Heisman winner. And it's still not easy to win a Heisman as a receiver. He's just a great football player. He's like the Cooper DeJean of offense. He's going to do whatever he can be one, he can be two, he can play in the slot, he can play outside. No, he's not going to be an X, because his size, but and the funny thing is he's a good 50-50 ball guy because he's got a great vertical leap and he high points the football over everybody. I mean, that's the last guy I'm worried about on the Eagles offense. And he's the only Eagle who, in my opinion, either improved or maintained last season on offense. Only offensive player. Oh, you're muted.
I do think Devonte is an elite talent, but John, I'm not saying this about Devonte, but I think there's a difference, right? Of like elite talents and then producing on the field. I mean, how many times have you seen a guy who's got elite talent and they don't live up to that talent on the field? I'm not saying that's Devonte. I'm just saying I think when a talent perspective on the player, he's got everything it takes. Now we just got to see him kind of translate it to being a true wide receiver number one, if it comes to that. I'm kind of starting to wonder, John. I don't know. I was listening to that Albert Breer bite yesterday, and I'm like, if this is a pissing contest between the Patriots and the Eagles,
that's what it is.
It is. And think about the draft. We just talked about the wide receivers in the draft. Are they going to be willing to trade for AJ come June 1 if the Eagles really want to wait till June 1? I don't know. You're playing with fire there if you're Howie.
Well, Howie's stubborn. But there's windows, and the window will open. And one window will close, and another window will open. Going back to Zach Ertz. He was stubborn with Zach, and he eventually traded him, but he traded him in season.
Trading him in season would be ridiculous for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, what is that?
Well, yeah, I mean, different and different level of player as well. But, it would only happen if things were going off the rails. Yeah. I mean, and they weren't. If they're a true Super Bowl contender at the time, they're not going to move them. Then it ships back to next off season. And if they win the Super Bowl, who knows? And if they keep Elijah Moore on the roster the whole season, that's this year's A.J. Dillon. As some have speculated, who knows? The longer he's here, the more chances are that he will be here because, as we talked about it earlier in the show, I mean, 4 teams have morphed into 1. Some say 5. I say 4 have morphed into 1. So, I mean, the pool is shrinking. It really looks like one team or bust. And Howie's stubborn.
We'll see. Just because we're hearing one team, it is what it is. Could be some other ones out there. We will find out. Do you think, John, this team is in a okay position to be a contender still? If I know we just talked about Devonte and we both feel good about it, but it's kind of a trickle down effect, right? If Devonte can be the number 1, okay, that's good. But who's your number 2? Who's your number 3? It goes down the roster. How does Jalen Hurts handle having only one big target as compared to having 2 like he's had? Dallas Goedert's aging. I think all the trickle-down effect is really the bigger concern there. Do you think this team, if they do trade AJ, let's say for a future 1, are they still a Super Bowl contender in your eyes?
None of this has anything to do with the Eagles being a Super Bowl contender. I shouldn't do this because we have a 2-hour show we have to do every day, but I'm going to boil it down to it. The Eagles are a Super Bowl contender if they have a top 5 offensive line, period. End of sentence. Are those guys going to get back to where they were? I don't care if AJ's here. I don't care about what kind of season. Now, Jalen Hurts. Now, I'm being, He's going to have.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. That's the number one catalyst.
Yes. They will be a legitimate Super Bowl contender if they have a top 5 offensive line. And there's a chance that happens, but there's a lot of crossing of fingers. You know, Lane's got to stay healthy. Cam's got to be better. Landon's got to be better. Jordan Mailata, you know, one of the only reasons I don't have Jordan Mailata in the category of maintaining is because he was so good in 2024. There's no possibility he could live up to that in 20. He was still really good. So he wasn't one that fell off a cliff. So the pieces are there to have a top 5 offensive line. If they have it, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender, legitimate Super Bowl contender. If what showed up last year shows up again, they're not.
We'll see what ends up happening with that. All right, good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Good conversation on the wide receiver situation in Philadelphia. And I do agree with your point there about the offensive line. Boy, they got to play good this year. Where do you think they were last year, real quick?
Overall,
I don't think they were bad in pass protection.
I still think they were
arguably top 5
on the cusp of top 10, like at worst 11 or 12.
What's the best resource that can measure those, like the best offensive line? Because I struggle with that. Like you see some people, you know, some people are like the Eagles offensive line sucks. And then there's a source that's like they were a top 5 offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it depends who you trust.
Yeah, it's not a perfect science, I guess you could say.
Yeah. You know, PFF does the grades of the guys who, you know, Brandon Thorne, I believe, is his name.
Like this is what, like, I just typed this in. The best pass protection offensive lines in 2025, according to Pro Football Focus. Now, I know some people don't like Pro Football Focus, but they're a source. Number 2 is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me. Yeah, most of their issues were in the run game.
See, and that's where I feel like Eagle fans got to be. I mean, that's where I feel like Jalen Hurts has to be better. I mean, if you have now, I'm not saying it was all perfect, and I'm not saying he's the only thing, but when your passing offense isn't where it needs to be a good offense, some of that has to come down to the quarterback. And I think a lot of people, for some reason, just do not want to admit that that's even a remotely true thing. And it is. I mean, Jalen.
Oh, yeah.
They all do. Jalen does. The offensive line does. Saquon does. They all do. But Jalen's the quarterback, and you bear a bigger burden when you're the quarterback of a football team.
Impacted them greatly. There's no doubt about it. PFF had them number 7 overall, which I think is a little bit too high, but it tells you, I mean, there's a lot of crappy offensive lines in the league. The Giants were number 9, to give you an example. New England made the Super Bowl with 11. You saw Will Campbell, and it's just brutal. So if they can get back to where they were in 2024, which is a lot. Seattle was 15. They won the Super Bowl. And the Eagles were better than all of them with their crappy offensive line. We've been spoiled by the offensive line play.
Yeah, but it feels like, and I'm not saying you've been spoiled, but it feels like in your mind, the only way for this Eagles team to really be a Super Bowl contender is not even be a good offensive line. They need to be an elite dominant.
Well, they do, because they don't have the and maybe it changes with Sean Mannion, but they don't play the style of football to overcome a poor.
They're more reliant on it, I guess you could say.
Yeah. You know, you have to do some different things if you're struggling, and they struggled where they typically didn't struggle, and they weren't able to adapt to it. So, you know, that's where I agree. You know, like you had a bunch of people who said the offensive line was so bad, it was one of the worst in the league. Now that's bullshit. That's not even close to being true. Even with all their struggles, just comparatively speaking of where they typically were and where they were the year prior, and part of it is just you got Fred Johnson in there instead of Lane Johnson. It's not going to be as good. Landon Dickerson, I think we all know, wasn't himself. Cam Jurgens, same thing.
Yeah, right.
Tyler Steen was fine, the first-year starter, but he wasn't what Mekhi Becton was in 2024. And Mekhi Becton wasn't Mekhi Becton in 2024 last year with the Chargers. And Jordan Mailata was, speaking of PF, they graded him as the best player. Let me repeat this. The best player in professional football. Number one, regardless of position.
Pretty amazing.
And he obviously didn't play at that level. So, and that's look, for the people who don't recognize, and I get it, skill position players, Saquon 2,000 yards, and Saquon will be the first one to tell you, offensive line.
Well, he's got to play well too. I mean,
oh yeah, I mean, obviously but I think everybody knows, because he's a skill position player. Everybody knows how gifted he is. But you saw what historic was in 2024 with Saquon versus above average was in 2025. Because that's what they were last year, the offense above average. And he still had 1,100 yards. But pretty steep drop off from where he was in 2024.
We will see, Johnny Mac, how they do this year coming up, and whether Sean Mannion and Chris Cooper can steady the ship of the Eagles offense. Boy, I tell you, it's going to be interesting to see. Sean Mannion, I hope you're the greatest year one play caller in the history of year one play callers.
It's going to be entertaining. I will say it's going to be entertaining. It is going to be entertaining.
We will see. All right, good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, a couple other guys I want to talk about here is the edge rusher room is something we've talked about a little bit, but I do want to kind of focus in on Nolan Smith. He has a fifth-year option coming up. We have talked about that. It's like, what is it, 14 or 15 million bucks, something like that?
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good deal for an edge rusher.
That's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. So they'll probably pick that up. And what do you think they're hoping, John, to get out of Nolan Smith at this point? I mean, they've been shopping edge rushers. They had a trade for Jalen Phillips last year in the middle of the year. They did spend a first-round pick on Nolan Smith. Now, you did add the context. It was a very late first-round pick. I think it was at 31 overall. Is that what it was? 30th overall. So it was a late first-round draft pick, but ideally you want that player to really elevate and become a number one or a number two. And I don't know where you have him right now, if they made a trade for a guy like a Jonathan Grenard, or, if he elevates and they wouldn't need to make a trade for a Jonathan Grenard. But to me, I think Jalen Hunt has kind of come close to maybe being on par with Nolan, maybe even a notch ahead. I'm not sure how the Eagles or Vic Fangio see it, but where are you on Nolan Smith, and just kind of what your expectation is for him as a contributor on this Eagles defense this year?
Well, right now it better be significant. I will say that. I mean, for all the talk, and I think for me at least, Jalen Hunt, his upside has surpassed Nolan Smith, at least as a pass rusher. But right now Nolan is still the better player. And if they go into the season, he's got to be number one. He's got to be number one on the pass rush if they don't either draft somebody or trade for Jonathan Grenard or somebody else. So, I mean, he's got the shoulder issues that he talked about as a rookie, wearing the harness. Sometimes my baby works, sometimes it doesn't. Had the great second half of 2024, and that's where everybody got excited. Tore his triceps in the Super Bowl, then tore it again. I can't say tore it, but he hurt it again. That cost him 5 games last year. And wasn't the same player. So can that second half of 2024 and the playoffs, he was phenomenal in the playoffs, the entire playoff run. Can that become a consistent thing? I don't think so. I don't have confidence in that. To the point where I said, to me, Jalen Hunt now has the bigger upside. But I don't think Jalen Hunt is ready to be a top-tier edge rusher in the NFL. I think they need the centerpiece. I've been pretty honest. Same thing as I said last year. Everything falls into place if you have the number one guy, Jalen Phillips. Everything fell into place. Nolan's a good 2. Jalix is a great 3. And then you can sort of cobble together with Ebikadi as the 4. That's pretty good. But you need that number 1. You don't need another guy. Maybe to draft proof the roster, you might need another guy. Last year you had Uche and Ojulari. You don't need that type of guy for the actual season. Again, maybe draft proofing, but for the actual season, you need the headliner. And not only then, it's like a baseball rotation. It's opening day, Phillies. Zach Wheeler's your number 1, or the Eagles have good pitchers. Chris Sanchez, whomever, if Zach Wheeler's healthy. But most teams only have one ace if they're lucky. But they got a good 2, a good 3, and a good 4. If the Eagles can get Grenard or somebody of that ilk, just like they had with Phillips at the end of last season, then everything is fine. If not, you're going to have some issues.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, that's one of the big needs here coming into the NFL draft, John, for the Philadelphia Eagles after Jalen Phillips walks. But I feel all right about the room. It just doesn't feel like it's dominant. I mean, the thing I like is they got a great interior, and they got great linebackers, and they got great cornerbacks. So it's not like it's like this big glaring hole that I feel like will sink the Eagles ship. But it does feel like that room's a little bit weak, so we'll see what they end up having to do to try and fix it. Where are you on Jalix? You think Jalix has a big year coming up here?
Yeah, I think he continues to improve. I think he's got a huge upside. I think it's only getting bigger. I think he gained confidence. But is he going to take that step from 6.5 sacks to 13 sacks? Probably, can he get to 10? That would be a home run, I would think. And then he's unique. You talk about the interceptions. He's only 6'3", but he looks like he's like 6'5" because he's so long. He's got 34 and 3/8 inch arms, which is why he got drafted. That's why the Eagles were so excited. That's what people look for. The big wingspan. And he's got that. So he's got everything from a physical perspective. But again, you know the story. He was a safety at Cornell before he went to Houston Christian. And he played at Houston Christian, not Alabama. So, he wasn't playing against top-tier talent in college. So, there was a learning curve. And he's hit the ground running. He was forced into action as a rookie, held up pretty well. And then last year he had a regular rotational role and played pretty well. This year he's got to take another step up. And if it's just him and Nolan, he's a starter. He's got to play a lot of snaps. But you can see the upside. The upside is there.
I agree with Jalix. We'll see what he's able to do this year. I think if you pick one, which one do you think would be the guy that gets extended here in Philly?
Yeah, it's Alex. There's too many injury concerns around Nolan.
I know, but what if you can get him at like such a bargain? I mean, the price of edge rushers is so through.
Well, that's different. But do you want him at such a bargain? That means he hasn't.
Version of him you get. I don't think he's been a bad player. I just don't think he's been a dominant player. And then the injury concerns obviously add up as well.
Yeah, if he's not getting paid decent money as an edge rusher, that means he hasn't performed. And again, you want to probably improve. So, if you're talking about 15 million, like his 50-year option, which is cheap as hell. 15 million moving forward. Is that the guy you want? Do you want to pay 15 million? Because that's your third edge rusher.
Oh, considering Jalen Phillips just got 30, that's what I mean. Like, it's not, when it comes to roster, unless you just want to keep rotating through draft picks, or 1 year mercenaries, I don't think 15 million is even all that bad.
Well, I think it is I think it is if he's not a starter. If he's a third guy, that's pretty expensive.
Yeah, well, that's fair. He'd have to be at the number 2. I think at the worst.
And I think you're trying to get better. If he's not clicking, I think Hunt is surpassed him from an upside perspective, like I said. So I'm going to bet on him.
Yeah.
So he's. And then I'm trying to get better, whether it's Gernard or somebody else who's going to get 25, whatever. And then I'm not paying the third edge rusher 15, even if he was a bargain. So the business kind of takes care of itself.
Right. How many games did Nolan miss last year? He missed 5 games last year?
5, yeah.
Oof.
And he barely played as a rookie, But I think that he wasn't hurt. He just didn't play.
Right. He just didn't play.
He played on special teams, but he didn't play on defense.
Definitely a letdown season for Nolan, though. I mean, he had 6.5 in 24, John. And remember, he had 4 in the playoffs, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he was unbelievable.
So I think coming off that high, I think a lot of people were like, he's going to be a double-digit sack. I know you're not a sack guy, but he falls back to 3 sacks, misses 5 games, never really cements himself as a legitimate, starting edge rusher. I think it was kind of a letdown last year for Nolan Smith.
Oh, it definitely was. And part of it was the injury, but yeah. But I will say where he stands out, he's a tremendous, especially for his size, tremendous run player. But I also question whether that impacts him with the shoulders.
Yeah.
He's so physical at the point of attack, and he's so undersized. Again, it's fun to see Nolan Smith light somebody up at 6'2", 238, but he's getting pushed on by 310, 320-pound guys all the time to the point where he's tearing his triceps, and he's hurting it again. Well, when you push on guys who are bigger and stronger, those things tend to happen.
Yeah. Big guys beat up little guys, as they say, Johnny Mac, especially in the NFL. All right, we'll see what happens with Nolan Smith. Still got some optimism on him, but we need to see a bounce back year. It's kind of this year, right, John? I guess that would be the concern with picking up the 5th-year option is if he has another year this year like he did last year, you probably are going to move on from him. Now, if you pick up the 5th-year option, he's going to have another year here, but you do.
Yeah, I think you could live with 15 million for 1 year, but I mean that depends on they're going to be trying to get better the entire time, so it depends on who's here.
Well, if he has another year where he has 12 games played and 3 sacks, he's not going to be worth 15 million. He won't even get that on the open market.
Well, you have to make the decision this year though, so. The 5th-year option is, if you pick it up, you pick it up. I assume.
Yeah, but if he plays into it, can't you still, in theory, extend him next year? I mean, maybe no.
Yeah, you can.
No one holds a grudge, but I don't think he will, especially if Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are getting paid here.
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody uses it as a placeholder to, get a longer-term deal done. But I'm saying worst-case scenario is if you pick it up, he has a bad season, and you got to pay him $15 million. This is complete worst case scenario. And you can't get any improvements. You don't get Grenard. You don't get a draft pick. You don't get a free agent next year. All of this is very unlikely to happen. I'm saying it's not the worst thing in the world to have 1 year. It's like Rick Wallen this year. You got 1 year. You can bite the bullet.
Yeah, right.
But, they're going to be trying to do different things that entire time. And
remember, I'm also thinking about what's coming on defense. I mean, they're going to pay Jalen Carter. They're going to have Quinn Cooper. Cooper has got to be paid next summer. He doesn't have a fifth-year option.
Yeah. He's got to be first.
Yeah, so what's he getting?
People are not going to understand that as well. Why aren't you getting Quinn Young? They're not going to understand. But yeah. It's an interesting discussion. I mean, sure, we'll ask
the next 12 to 24 months, John, are going to be very interesting in Eagle roster building land because think about it. Jalen Carter, Cooper DeJean, and Quinyon Mitchell are all three guys who could get paid. And they're all probably north of, definitely Cooper or Quinyon and Jalen will be above 30 million. Cooper will probably be north of 25 million, maybe even 30 million plus. Woo! Gonna be some changes on the roster, Johnny Mac.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do Cooper. I mean, because, that was part of the issue. It's like, well, slot guys don't get paid as much as outside guys, but they want to keep them there. Are they going to try to lowball them because of that? I don't think so, but it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it.
Give me an early Cooper DeJean contract prediction.
It's going to be up there. 27 million.
All right. I was going to say 28 or 29, so we're in the same ballpark.
And Quinyon's going to go above McDuffie.
Quinyon's going to be probably 33, 34.
I mean, barring it. I presume he's going to have another good year.
Yeah, barring an extreme circumstance. But I don't know. That guy's been pretty damn good his first few years. Same with Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, I don't worry about those two.
Me too. Me neither, man. Me neither. Those guys are hell of a players. All right, Johnny Mac, 10 minutes left to go in the show here today. We had a great hour number one talking draft. We even ragged on Jake Elliott a little bit today. He is in the Zander crosshairs right now.
Yeah, you ragged on him. I didn't rag.
I ragged on him because I think he deserves to be ragged on. And it has nothing to do with it personally. And obviously, I think he's done great things for the Birds. But I can't sit here and live in the glory days. We're trying to win another Super Bowl here, Johnny Mac. Are you going to do it with a 70% field goal kicker? I don't know, my friend.
No, well, he's got to be better. But I'm in the camp. I'm in the aggression camp, which people don't like. But I don't. I mean, I'd like to have Aubrey, but I also think there's some unintended consequences to that, where you're a little bit too comfortable in your kicker and you become too conservative. I don't want to kick field goals. So I want a guy who can make 50-yard field goals, but I don't want a guy kicking a bunch of 30, 40-yard field goals, because that means you're not converting, or you're not aggressive.
Even by your approach, Jake's not the right kicker to have then.
Well, no kicker that's 5 of 15, but again, that's a bigger conversation than just about one player. That's about the early extensions and locking yourself in and getting it wrong. The evaluation is wrong. It's harsh, but it's wrong. So to me, it's a much bigger discussion. Like, why are these so lengthy? When it works out, it's great. When it doesn't work out,
right.
And then you got void years on top of it. Then so you got dead money on top of it, because you got to move on to a different kicker. Well, that's the reason they're not moving on to a different kicker. That's the only reason. At the bare minimum, if it wasn't for his contract, they would have brought in competition. But his contract exists, and they managed for him to take a million less. Whoop-de-doo. But same thing with Dallas Goedert. It's like, all right, do you want to take the 20 million dead hit now, or do you want to wait another year? And they said, well, we got too much stuff to do right now, so we're going to wait another year.
Well, we'll say, John, where's Jalen Hurts' contract in all this conversation? We just mentioned 3 defensive guys who might be getting $30 million. They just paid Jordan Davis $26 million. I mean, boy, they got a lot of cap to handle. And then there's also Jalen Hurts, who I don't know. What do you think that contract is?
Well, a lot of people have brought up potential extension this year because it's one of the years of the contract where you can do that kind of stuff, and he certainly would want it. But yeah, he's got a fucking doozy of a contract, man. Woo! His dead money right now, let's see, 139. 139. So he's under contract through 2028, which is kind of meaningless because you're never going to get to 2028 because his cap number would be 47. And then the void years pop in, and you got a 97 million cap hit in 2029. So they have to rework his deal. But all quarterbacks, this is not unique to the Eagles. I mean, you see it every year with Dak Prescott. You see it every year with Patrick Mahomes. And you might even see it this year where the Eagles will adjust it to if they need space to do a splashing move. Maybe Grenard, if he's getting a big time extension. You might even see it this year, but yeah, I mean, it's got to be reworked. If it's not going to be reworked this year, it's got to be reworked next year.
Yeah. What are the chances you put it coming this summer?
I think that depends on other stuff. Like they'll pull that lever if they have to, if they're doing something significant.
Right.
A lot of teams hold it back, because everybody has these conversions built into contracts. Like there's a misconception that you need the players' permission to redo a they're built. It's the roster bonuses.
Well, no, that's different than like an extension, obviously.
No, yes,
yeah.
Obviously, you have to.
I think they could restructure Hurts at any time, but I'm talking about rebooting them.
Well, they're not going to completely reboot because it's already so significant, but they might add a year or two.
How many more years of guaranteed money does he have?
Let's see.
Just two. But that's easy, right? Because that they can handle with a restructure, right? They can just guarantee more of the contract. Okay.
Yeah. Last year is his last of his guarantee money. It's not nearly as significant, only 22. So they'll absolutely have to do something after this year. And they might do something this summer. Yeah. He's definitely a candidate to get something done. I think he's out of the top 10.
He is. He's well out of the top 10.
He was number 1 when he signed it.
It does feel like the quarterbacks have stalled a little bit. Like they got to 50 like 3 years ago, and now there's the only one above 55. I think is Dak, right?
Yeah, he's at like 65.
Like why? Like why did the Cowboys have to go like $6 million above the next? It's like you could have just went to like 56.
I think if anything, he's an underrated quarterback. I think he gets too much shit.
Who, Dak?
Yeah.
Oh, Eagle fans, they hate me in the chat. They rip me in the chat because I give Dak credit. I think he's a good quarterback.
Oh, he's a very good quarterback, but it's absurd. They're 60 million, not 60 million. Burrow's at 55. Josh Allen's at 55. Now Josh has got the biggest deal. He had $330 million deal, 250 totally guaranteed. So he's got the biggest deal, but then Jordan Love's at 55 as well. A bunch of 55s. Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff's 53, Brock Purdy's 53, Justin Herbert's 52, 5, Lamar's 52, Jalen Hurts is 51. So he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's 10. And he was number 1 when he signed that contract for like less than 10 days, and Lamar got 52. I remember that distinctly. And now Lamar's 9th. Deshaun Watson, by the way, is 11th at 46. The guy's awesome. Yeah. It's crazy. But I mean, yeah, if I'm Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, I'm like, yeah, Brock Purdy's getting paid more than me. Come on.
It's like, come on, man. Come on. But all right, Johnny Mac, your final thoughts here. We had a good conversation draft. Devonte Smith, Nolan Smith, Jake Elliott. All right. Zander crosshairs right now. I'll probably keep ragging on that. What's the kicker's name I like? Jaffer Murphy or Jaffer or something like
Texas
that.
San Antonio. That's where he went to school.
Yeah, UTSA. I think he was a soccer player, I think. Before.
Yeah, they're all all the guys who could boom at 70, they're soccer players.
They're soccer guys for sure.
Brandon Aubrey didn't even play football.
Yeah, he was
a soccer guy.
Yeah.
So soccer guys are, but you got to be accurate too. Brandon Aubrey is accurate as well.
Yeah. All right, Johnny Mac, your final thoughts here on a Thursday edition of Birds 365. We do have Ian Cummings tomorrow on the show.
More draft talk. We're getting deep in the draft. We had a deep dive in the draft.
I want everybody to really have a good understanding of all the guys in the draft this year.
Well, they should by now. Well, we'll get into more with Ian. I want to ask him every year. I asked him, who's going to be the surprise first round pick, and who's going to be the guy who everybody says, that guy's a first-round pick? Who's that guy? There's always that guy who falls out. So I want to ask him that tomorrow.
There you go. All right, John, good show, man. I will talk to you tomorrow on a Football Friday. Thank you, brother.
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, Jim Mac. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Great show today. I want to thank and welcome everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Good to see everybody in here. All right. Good to see everybody in here. I got somebody to rip. Look at Alfredo. Look, where's this bum Alfredo? Why don't you go make some chicken Alfredo sauce, my guy? Zander's not a regular Eagle. Ready? These are the people who say this. Alfredo, have you ever even stepped foot inside the city of Philadelphia? Have you ever even taken your 10 fucking toes and put them? Forget Philadelphia. Have you ever even been to the state of Pennsylvania? Have you, Alfredo? You're not a regular fan. My prescription for fandom is how you have to do it. Alfredo, sit down, shut the fuck up, and go back to X. Go back to whining on X in my mentions. It's always you people. It's always you people. Fucking Alfredo sauce. Alfredo sauce. Shut your bitch ass up. All right? B. Howe, what's up, brother? Yeah, Alfredo sauce is a goof. Alfredo, I don't want to see you in my Twitter DMs 48 times in the next 20 hours. All right? Here's Raz. Oh, all right, we got that's. I don't know what you're talking about. You guys are fighting with each other in here. JAKIB and WIP are toxic, so Dabney Network should be the best. Well, Dabney, I think he likes us. I mean, he's here every day. Why would he be here every day if he hates us so much? I think Dabney likes JAKIB. I just don't think. I think he doesn't like the AJ rumors, and I think he likes to profess to be the smartest in the room. You know, the media is retarded. All right. John, you throw strays and Hurts. You know he's the problem to an extent. Well, I mean, when your passing offense is the bottom of the league for a couple years in a row, the quarterback has to take some responsibility in that. Anybody who doesn't believe that, I think, is drinking that Alfredo juice. You know, that's what I call it. It's the Alfredo juice. Zander, don't need you blowing a gasket. I love blowing a gasket. I love blowing a gasket. It's fucking great. The Dak hate is here. I think chew me up as a Cowboy fan. The Dak hate is hilarious, Xander. Imagine him on the Niners, Rams, or Eagles. Dude would help those teams. And chew me up. I am not an Eagle fan that thinks Dak Prescott sucks. You can't have a number one offense like 3 times in your career and suck. Does he shrink though in big moments? Chew me up. He's got to win some playoff games, my friend. He's got to win some playoff games. All right. Xander. Oh, yo, Keese. Come on, man. Let's take it easy, man. There's real human beings over there. I don't want to be referencing that. I'm an anti-war guy by every account. All right. I understand peace through strength, but I hate when bombs are flying, man. Hate it. Dad says 1 Vega, 2 Warren, 3 Delp, 4 Sutton, all will go before we pick. Yeah, well, they probably will. I don't think that the Eagles are in a I don't think they're in a great spot at 23. You know, if they need a tackle, what are the chances the tackle they want is still there? I don't freaking know. Who else would be obviously like a big option up there? You might want to move up if tackle's what they want in that round 1. We'll see though. That's why I wondered if moving back is a thing. You know, here's Chew Me Up. I agree, but the whole team has to step up. Absolutely, Chew Me Up. It's not a one-man game, brother. It's football. You know, it's not a one-man game. I don't think it's all Dak, but facts, F4. I'm with you, Prince. I'm with you. Theo's messing with Alfredo sauce. You're no longer Alfredo anymore. You're not allowed to call yourself Alfredo. You are officially Alfredo sauce. All right? What's like a crab? You're like a cheap. Nah, you're not shrimp Alfredo. I don't even think you're chicken Alfredo. You're like vegetable Alfredo. You know? Instead of like eggplant Parmesan, you're like eggplant Alfredo. Eggplant Alfredo's out here. Come on, eggplant. You got to be kidding me, Alfredo. Alfredo. You got to be kidding me, man. Cherry Hill Nissan. Cherry Hill. And Deshay, you know it. I know it too. I've been to Cherry Hill. One of my boys from college lived there. Actually, a couple of my high school friends lived in Cherry Hill too. New Jersey's a shit show. And all you New Jersey people know it. It's a freaking shit show. Olive Garden Alfredo. That's even a little nice. I kind of like the eggplant, the vegan, the vegetable Alfredo. It's like an overcooked piece of broccoli with some Alfredo sauce on it. Nobody wants that. Now, fettuccine Alfredo is too. Nah, Slagger. That's too good. No, we're talking straight broccoli. We're talking Brussels sprouts. You know, eggplant parm is slamming, but eggplant Alfredo is not something you look for. I'm from Newark. Yeah, Deshay. And Deshay, where do you live now? You bailed on New Jersey. Why? Because it's a poorly run state. Even the greatness of Secunda, the Flying Mayan. The Flying Mayan would have to agree with that. You know, I love Flying Mayan because me and him agreed politically, but I don't hate people who disagree. That's what I hate about the world. It's like if somebody disagrees with somebody politically, it's like we have to hate them. What? Come on. Yeah, people, newsflash, folks. We live in a world with 8 billion people? Not everybody's going to think like you. All right? Are we all so self-absorbed that we believe that our line of thinking is the only way of thinking? But I will laugh at Flying Mayan because, you know, he's got all these great ideas for the tax dollars, and he's like, yeah, up the taxes. But Mayan, Secunda, they don't use the tax dollars on anything that you want them to. It's like, I want less taxes. You want more taxes, but they don't use the taxes on any of the things you want anyway. So what's the point? Mayan, what's the point of raising taxes if you don't get any of the things that you want? I don't know. I don't get it, Mayan. I don't get it, Secunda. All right? They don't use it. Zander, no. Isn't that Colorado? I have no clue where Colorado lives. I think I remember him being Jersey, though, because I remember him when he used to work with I think he was bitching about the Jersey property taxes. Speaking of it. Yeah, Keith, and the Philly, Pennsylvania should be doing the same thing, but no, it's a racket in Philly, too. The city council's a joke. Z, it's opening day. Steven, how did I know you were going to be here today, Steven? How did I know you were going to return for opening day? All right, let's get our Phillies win predictions. How many wins this year for the Phils? How many wins and what's their fate? Let's make the predictions. Put them on the record now. Steven thinks they're winning the World Series. He says it right here. Watery Alfredo. That's good. Watery Alfredo. 87. Jimbo, me and you are in the same boat here. 87. 85 intern. I think that's good. 90. You guys got 90. I don't know if they break the 90 number. I don't know if they break that 90 number. Mayan says, I don't know, bro. You got time? I think Secunda's fucking hilarious. You know, if you're going to be a lipster, you might as well be hilarious. Secunda's a classic. I'm a Yankees fan when it comes to baseball. Yankees got it. They won last night, right? I saw that, Tony. Tony, how many variations are they going to make down here? We got the Z06, the ZR1, the ZR1X. Now we got the Grand Sport. I mean, Tony, how many? Just give me the C9 at this point. Oh, Tony, I just ordered. I ordered the solar throttle controller. I ordered some. I got the taillight tints because I want to really do the blackout on my car. I got the white with the blackout top. I'm going to black out the taillights now too. And I got an appointment at 7 Wraps to fix my wrap. My wrap cracked in the winter. The wrap on the top of my car. So that's got to get fixed. And then I'm also ordering when it's back in stock, the steering wheel. I'm done with my suede steering wheel, Tony. So I'm getting the Paragon Performance one. It's the carbon fiber wheel, and it's got the white. It's got the white at the top because I obviously want to match my car. I would go red there, but I don't have any red accents on my car, so it is what it is. It is what it is. Jen, are you moving or not? Hell yeah, Prince. I can't go to Florida just yet. I got some business to tend to up here, but soon I'm out. Soon I'm Audi 5000. All right, Prince, I saw you putting in my little secrets about my land down there. I might clump them up and sell them. Maybe I'll build on them and flip them. Who knows? Who knows what I'll do? We'll find out. I got Alfredo jokes my whole life. Keep them coming, motherfuckers. You on that eggplant, Alfredo? Shut up, Alfredo. Nah, it's not in Naples. No, I'm not moving to retirement, Florida. That's why I kind of want to go to the East Coast. You know, the West Coast of Florida is awesome, but, you know, do I want to go to the West Coast yet? Do I want to go to the East Coast? Maybe I'll go to, I like Jupiter. I like Jupiter. Mine up Jupiter. I think Jupiter would be sick. Jupiter would be fuego. If they get rid of property taxes, I'm telling you right now, I'm in. I'm coming. What, Daz? Give me the skinny. You don't like Jupiter or what? The West Coast beaches are fire. That's for sure. That's for sure. Zay, you should move to Vermont. You know, go Birds. If you listed out the 50 states and ordered them in order of where Z would move, I'm not going to lie to you, Vermont would probably be bottom 3. It might be 50th, bro. It might be 50th. I might put South fucking Dakota above Vermont. I might put South Dakota above Vermont. Tennessee's kind of fire, I'm not going to lie. You can get the that's one thing I hate about Florida. It's like, bro, it's like flat and ugly. You got to be like by the beach or it's like ugly. Like Tennessee, you got the Smokies, you got the mountains. Come on. I want Sills to move to Florida to see if he has the same energy when he sees me in person. Zander, Jupiter is pretty close to you know who. Who? You, right, Prince? Yeah, I know where you're at. Hell yeah, Prince. Me and you hitting the Miami clubs, Prince. Prince, me and you ripping it, brother. I'll make it happen, bro. Yeah, Tennessee was cool. I like Yardley. Yardley's a cool spot. I kind of want to go. I don't know. I like Bucks Kill, but I was thinking maybe going like the other way. Maybe more toward like Wayne, Malvern, Main Line, something like that. I got to get my bread up first. I got to get my bread up. I got to get that bread up. Steven says, I forgot Vermont existed. That's hilarious. Steven, you are one of those people who is just like naturally funny. Like it just like when you were on the post game show, some people are just naturally funny. You're fucking hilarious. Your wifey ain't having that shit to shame. My wifey's doing whatever the hell I want to do. Prince might like the other men's clubs down there. Oh, Hollywood, shut your bitch ass up. Hollywood, you guys got some problems too over there in San Francisco. Malvern is nice. Yeah, I like Malvern. I don't want to be like right in Malvern though. Like I don't want to be the I'm not a stuffy person. Like that's a problem with the main line. It's beautiful, but oh my gosh, the stuffy people on the main. I hate when people are stuffy from the main. That's why I like my boy Joe Whipp. Joe Whipp's the main line guy. He's like the farthest thing from stuffy. He's an awesome guy. You know, I don't like the stuffy people on the main line. I really don't. I really don't. I'm out on that, man. Take that stuffy shit out of here. Z, F all that. August through October is hurricane. Oh, Big Mike. Big Mike. Are you in PA, Big Mike? Did you not just live through the last 6 months of misery? Come on. Secunda, dude, another guy who's naturally funny. You guys love chirping Secunda for his politics. At least the guy's hilarious. He says, Vermont brought us Bernard Sanders. It's a goated state. A classic Libster comment, but a funny one at that. A funny one at that. I need everybody to like enjoy life a little bit more. Like if somebody disagrees with you politically, like, yo, guys, it's not the end of the fucking world. All right, I promise. It's not the end of the world that Secunda exists and likes Bernard Sanders. I promise you. All right. Life goes on, folks. Days get brighter. I'm feeling like I came in with my haze no lighter. Who's that? Anybody know? Anybody know who I just rattled off? Zay, you ever been to Longwood Gardens? Yeah, I have. I've been to Longwood Gardens. Oh, man. Kevin Savard. This is one of the all-time things in life. Like, I will do whatever it takes to piss these people off. The HOA, your door, it's so true. Your hedge, it's 3 inches too low. Yeah, bro, shut the fuck up. HOAs. Like, if I'm ever in an HOA, they are going to royally hate me. Hate me. Zander, any concern the Eagles have no long snapper? Do they have none? Is Hewlett gone? Charlie Hewlett. Is he gone? Yeah, I guess he's not on a team right now. Rasputin says I like having an HOA. Well, HOAs are fine if you don't have a stuffy-ass HOA board or whatever the hell they're called. You know, HOAs should do this. They should keep the riffraff out, like you said. They should keep your property values good. And then they should royally fuck off. If you want to tell me how high my hedge is, if you want to tell me what color my door is. You know, my brother lived at a place. The guy comes over. My brother hangs an American flag. My brother's a veteran. He loves it, you know, the American flag. He puts an American flag up. The HOA president walks over after he moves in and says, you know, you're really not supposed to put an American flag. He goes, fuck you. Fuck you. Sorry for my French today. I'm cursing up like a madman. I mean, it's like stuff like that just annoys the crap out of me. It annoys the crap out of me. We got Tamagotchi Elliott. Oh, man. Tamagotchi Elliott. Yeah, that's funny. Stop stressing over Zander. His HOA. All right, Prince. Prince, you must be in an HOA. I know. You can't find a place in Florida that doesn't have an HOA. Prince, the land I own in Florida, there's no HOA yet. I'm going to go down there and be the president. You know what my philosophy is going to be for the HOA? Do whatever the hell you want as long as you don't destroy the area. Holy moly. The Florida HOAs are everywhere. Can't have a work truck in here. I mean, it's ridiculous, intern. Right. How do you think I paid for the house? Right. HOAs will fine you into compliance. Yeah. My dad already dealt with that. He had a place, a little townhouse down in Naples. And they did the same thing to him. He was like, I'm selling this place. These people are driving me crazy. Driving me crazy. Zander, HOA president. That's me, Big Mike. People would like me because I wouldn't be up their ass about their hedge and their door color. You know? Used to wake up with tickets on my car. Uh-oh, Prince. Keep your grass cut. I'm all right with keeping the grass cut. You know, you don't want a tenement home here. At Rasputin's point, you don't want a tenement home. I bought my house in 09, Z, and HOA sucks, especially this one. They are embezzling for sure. Chew me up. God bless you, though, man. 09, that's nice, man. Nice. What have you been there now? 17 years? It's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. Zander, moved to Florida to become a Jaguars fan. Yeah, Jammers. You bet you got plenty of stuff to worry about there in communist Washington. All right? With the shitty-ass communist commanders. All right, why don't you worry? Hey, jammers, why don't you worry about those guys? All right. Holy moly, team stinks. General manager's a stiff. Yo, James, remember when you were telling everybody how great Adam Peters was? Guy lasted for about 3 moves. Guy had 3 good moves in the chamber. Every other move sucks. Guy hasn't done a good thing since. Anybody know anything good the Commanders have done in the last 2 years? They get this great rookie quarterback. He looks like he's going to turn the franchise around. And then what does Adam Peters do? He says, you know what I'm going to do for you, Jaden Daniels? I'm going to make you the oldest roster in football. I'm going to give you washed up Deebo Samuel. I'm going to pay 30-year-old Terry McLaurin. And I'm going to gut the defense. And I get you a bunch of stiffs on the offensive line. Yeah, this guy's done nothing good. These guys done nothing good. Adam Peters is a royal joke. I remember when he made like one good move to start. He like drafted Jaylen, and everyone's like, he's the next Howie. What? He stinks. Jerry Jones might be a better GM than that guy. Actually, I think he is. Chew me up, I'll tell you. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. It's one of those mornings. I got a lot of energy. Chicken Alfredo. No, wait, it's not chicken Alfredo. Is eggplant too nice? Yeah, we're going to call him Brussels sprout Alfredo. Just a board of Brussels sprouts, no salt, no pepper, nothing. With some canned Alfredo sauce. No, not even canned. We're talking jarred. You know, not like the nasty jarred. Ugh. I grew up with an Italian mother. I don't eat jarred sauce. You know, if that makes me pretentious, so be it. I don't want jarred. Take your jarred sauce and stuff it. I'm good. So be it. Princess, there's no old people. I don't know why my comments aren't working. They're not flowing in. You know, they're coming, but then they give me them in spurts. Now, right now, I can't see the new comments. Let me wait for the new comments to come in, and then I'll dip out of here. Take a couple more comments from the great people of JAKIB Nation, including Brussels sprout Fredo. Tony just texted me. Let's see what Tony's got to say. Oh, nice. I got the solar, Tony. That's fire. I just text you back. I don't know why these comments aren't working. The last comment I can see is this one. Daz Deals, had the HOA's president vehicle towed. Yeah, right. That's what I'm going to do. Here's another one. My HOA in South Carolina turned into shit that makes the property values go up and keep the riffraff in line. A few twats try to pull shit here and there, but they generally get voted down. That's good. There's no old people in Florida anymore. I don't know if that's true. Maybe where you are, Prince? Yeah, probably, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it. They're all on the West. They're all on the West Coast. Oh, these damn comments aren't working. Bummy, crappy StreamYard strikes again. Oh, here we go. They came in now. Now they came in. Be good, Zander. Always a pleasure. Yeah, why don't you go talk to what's his name? Zander, is it sauce or is it gravy? I don't know, whatever you want to call it, brother. Depends what part of Italy they come from. Jerry stopped being a good GM the day he fired Jimmy Johnson. That's true. At least you're honest. Chew me up. At least you're honest. Oh, Tommy T. Oh, Tommy. I didn't even see you, Tommy T. It's a Tommy T. Tommy T is in the chat. Adam Peters is a joke. Change that Commander logo. They're a bunch of stiffs. They named him after the communist. Pseudo-Italians call it gravy. I'll tell you what, my grandparents are right off the boat, M. Reyes, and they call it sauce. Zander, everything can start in TRT. I do not need TRT. I got my blood work done, Nick. You'd be pleasantly surprised. All right? I do not need TRT, not yet. My blood work came back money. All right? What's the metric they use for it? 900, what is it? NG, whatever it's called. I don't know how they use it. Or I don't know how they gauge it. Trust me, 29. Is that what you got, Nick? 3 kids, got at 29. God bless you, brother. God bless you, man. That is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. 29 with 3 kids, Nick. Keep crushing it, and make sure you be a great father to those kids. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. All right, guys. I love all you guys. I appreciate all you guys. Hit the damn like button. Tony, Pete Preston, if you're listening. Those are my 2 guys who I know like my ZK's Garage content. I got another video dropping today and another video dropping Saturday. I got 2 videos in the queue. 2 videos in the queue, and I'm going to record more. I'm going to do the solar throttle controller video. I'm going to do the video putting on the taillight tint. I'm going to do a video when I get my vinyl fixed. And I got some more video ideas as well. So I'm going to do a bunch of videos on ZK's Garage coming up. All right, guys. Love all you. Appreciate all you guys. Remember, chicken Alfredo is good. Broccoli and Brussels sprout Alfredo is the guy in the chat. And I appreciate all you guys. See you next time, everybody.
EAGLES. Eagles.